you're trying to fall. No, it's not worth it. Don't jump. It's okay, little camera. All right, I think that might be. That's because I'm gonna get it. So you can see what I'm seeing. There's not a whole lot going on there inside this floor earth, but as mentioned, it did not stick together. I think that's because I did bake it. I can see a little root right here. There's roots on the surface here. More roots in the back here. So I'm hoping this was somewhat successful, but the only way to tell is to see it's not like easy to pull apart, but it didn't stick together quite in the way that it was expected. It didn't do much either. So it's just pulling right off the back here. I think it is too dense to really be effective as I'd want it to be. So I'm going to put these in. Not really valuable or useful in their current state. But didn't break anything. It didn't destroy anything. They do stick together, but they don't stick together in any way that's, you know, they do separate once the water hits them and they go loose. I just think there's just not enough air in this. You can see there is gaps. Let's see if I can hold it closer. There is gaps, yes, but they're just, it is a little too dense. So for the purpose of growing roots, I think that was a successful experiment and that it gave us an answer. They're not good for growing roots. These full earth pieces. Let's see here. It does look like trunk is all ready to grow new roots, but it's not as much for this stuff. Yeah, look like it was thinking about it. So you've got one here you can see maybe, but just not as much as it should have been. Let me turn this. I didn't put my turntable in here. I probably should have. Yeah, there were some roots in here. I just tore them off. So that's another issue with this particular application of full earth, is that if it tears off the roots, it doesn't matter if you put the roots on, right? It's just a waste. I will pull those off. And considering that there are roots up to the top of this, I think it's wise that I repot this. I thought I might have to. I think it's wise that I do. So instead of repotting it in this clean one, I'm going to pull my dirty one up. Put this over here to keep you guys as stable as possible. Some cool little rocks. I always pick up rocks everywhere, so this was an interesting little experiment. I just don't think it was as successful as I wanted. Pull this down. Put my slightly more dirty one up. Now this is a good pot. I like this pot. I just don't think that I did this the right way. So going to one, two, and three. Now they're all, no, it's not quite as sturdy in here as I'd hoped. But again, guys, this is an experiment. It wasn't in any way intended to be, you know, the end all be all. I wasn't trying to cure us all of sphagnum. I just don't like it. So it feels like it'll maybe not. Might be losing all of this wire. I don't think I can keep it. All right, so we'll leave that there for a second. It's actually staying up on its own. It's not leaning against the edge. Turn that so you can see. I'm gonna just make the call to terminate all these to get this pot out in one piece, or tree out in one piece, versus harming any roots that might be new. Because really all these roots are still new. They're out of the fertilizer safe zone, I think. You know, 8 weeks is 8 weeks. But I don't think I should be doing anything more than that. You know. So I don't know if you can tell, but this earth isn't really coming off. Just the stuff underneath is coming out from under it. So that's okay. I'm going to, again, scoop it out if I can. All right, the soil underneath is pretty dry, but in a good way, I think, because I think, especially these ficus, they like to be a little dry. So I might be lucky in that sense. might have worked out okay because of the species I used, but I don't think there's any other context at which it would be considered great. Let's see here. That one's all done. Trying to get some of this wire out. Of course, I wired it in as if I was never going to have to get it out again, but I knew I would. There we go. I kind of caught in there, but all right. So here's what we got. We do have some roots. I don't think it was nearly as successful as I wanted it to be, as far as growing roots and not destroying them when they're moving. It wasn't a terribly safe or careful, removal, but as you can see, they were growing through the bottom, and that's where I was like, all right, it's time to look at this and see what's going on. I'll just leave it and let things continue to get worse. Ooh, nice hard one. All my screens. Make sure there's no other screens in here. I think they're still on the bottom of this. I think that's all my screens. Okay. So nice new roots. Not shocking there. Let's see if we can get this out. Yeah, not great. Just tore it all off. So all that came off with the screen. That was my fault. Is there another one here, I thought? Maybe not. There's one. So I think what I've got to do, got to just see what my roots look like. They weren't terrible to begin with, but I'd really hope that like these two would fuse. I'd really hope to get stuff in here. I think that's going to be up to the sphagnum. I do have a teeny tiny bit of sphagnum here in front of me to use for that purpose. Definitely new roots had grown through all that fuller earth, which is fine, but I think all my root growth was really down low. So these are the only real new roots. Yeah. Everything was pretty dry under here. It was a good time to repot. You can see the little roots like that, little ones up here too, but they didn't really do what they needed to do. They really just stuck up real high. I'm not gonna worry about super bare rooting this. I'm gonna let some of this just hang. I'm just gonna try to get everything out of here that doesn't need to be in here. Of course, there's a little millipede, which is usually a sign there's rot, but I think I dropped it in there from repotting another plant. I don't think it was a native visitor at all. I think it's just still there. I don't think there's anything I can do really as far as refining these roots anymore at this point. I think they're still just too fresh. So this is what I'm looking at. I think it is going to be better to put it into a smaller container for two reasons. Not that teeny tiny. Something more like this for two reasons. One, it kind of fits it already. I don't have to do any trimming if I wanted to do that. But also getting fertilizer and everything else in there is going to be real nice. So I just had to figure out if this is worth keeping this loop, and I don't think it is. I'm going to come in here and do a little, use my head shears, hair shears, and do a little one of these. Just it's got plenty of feeder roots. I'm not worried about killing the plant. I know I'm repotting it a lot very quickly, but it's doing okay, honestly. Yeah, it's not hitting me as much as I thought it would. Yeah, I think that'll do it as far as all the main business there. I do want to still fix all this. Kind of splits and goes down low and up high. It's not really a great vision there, but still I think my value is going to be in getting aerial roots over that through some semblance of sphagnum. That's what I'm going to try for. I'm going to reuse this potting media as much as I can. So first things first, do a little teeny tiny bit to clean up. I don't want to put any of the wood earth in there stuck together, but I don't mind it going in there in the, final mix. It's not bad. It's just not good on its own. I'm gonna pull out any clumps of that, any big chunks I can see. There's plenty of them. Use ceramic or plastic or something. Any kind of, you know, stuff that I wouldn't want to see on my bonsai soil. I'm just picking that out. Again, I wasn't, you know, doing this to kill the plant or anything like that. It might die, but that's kind of what happens. It's a box store bonsai. I'm not thinking it will. If it survived the box stores, it can probably survive me. This is a piece of that. Yeah, it was a nice experiment. Was it successful? Yes, because it gave us an answer. Would I say that the fullered earth is more successful than sphagnum? No. I'd say sphagnum is remarkable compared to fullered earth. In fact, there's a piece of sphagnum somehow in there. And I've got just a bit to pack those roots with, so I'm going to reuse this for that. Since I've already got a screen in here, so I'm going to go ahead and all this stuff in. There is some fertilizer in here. It's not new fertilizer, so it's probably not very potent or, you know, anything like that. But this is perfectly good soil, so I'm not concerned it's going to create any issues. And repot in my cleaner container, so you guys can see here, this is looking pretty good. I don't think I need to tie in. I think it'll be just fine not tying in. Yeah. A little long on that one side. That's all right. I think it'll be okay. No, I think I need to cut it back. You guys are watching me just, you know, do such a terrible job of thinking. This one's just kind of going around like that anyway, so it probably doesn't need to be in there. Well, since we're here, I'm being stupid. Let's go ahead and see if I can't reduce this top mass here, because it is really roots that are going up. You know? So I'm glad I did that for two reasons. One, I think this thing has a little bit of rot on the inside of that root, which is not good. We do not want rot. And yeah, so this is like some live tissue, some dead tissue. I think it'd be wise if I took this back further. Oop, didn't mean to do that, but that's all right. It's a little bit better of a, I don't want sticky stuff on the ground, do I? A little better of an angle, and I think that's going to be important to get a better angle there. There we go. That's what I want right there. Is that too long, too short? That's good now. Let's make sure I saw any sticky stuff on the floor. All right. So, okay, I didn't mean to, or I didn't want to, I should say, take off any roots, but I think that was necessary. These all look okay here. Kind of interesting. They do kind of swoop around, which isn't fun. So I'm going to tuck them out from under as much as I can. I do not want them under the tree. I want them out in front of the tree. All right, that's a little better as far as the roots go. So I'm going to pot it out like this. Now, is my angle good? Yeah, I probably want it as straight up and down as possible. This isn't the final planting angle, so it's not going to hurt it if I plant it more vertical. This one's just going straight underneath. It's not helping. Yeah, not a lot of roots on it either, so glad I did that. I'm glad I did that. Let's make sure this is all. So I do have some that are coming from here and going under. That's okay, but this one is going the wrong direction. So we're going to cut it off there. This one too. Still trying to work on radial, even though we're not, you know, even in the ballpark. It's a good idea to keep that in mind, I think. Yeah, definitely a good idea to keep that in mind. And we got one here too, doing the same thing. So again, the goal wasn't to take off a lot of roots, but I think it's necessary to take off roots that just don't make sense. I'm just making sure they're all laid out nice. A whole bunch of feeder roots too. All right. It may look funny, but let's go ahead and do this. Because even though this soil is used, it's still good bonsai soil, and that is the most effective way to get from there to here. There is a lot of like pine bark and stuff in here. I'm not terribly concerned that my paintbrush, that's a better tool anyways. But, not that concerned that there's any organic material in here. That if there is still a millipede in here, it'll take care of that anyways, which is kind of nice. Things like pill bugs or potato bugs, whatever you want to call them, and millipedes, you don't want them in there. You do want them in there. You don't want them in there by accident. If you weren't aware that there was rot in your roots, and all of a sudden there's millipedes and pill bugs and things that eat rotten plant matter, that's a little scary. I had that issue with some azaleas that just, the roots were gone, basically. And by the time I found out, it was too late. It wasn't my azalea either, but, oh, thank you, bud. Thank you for telling me. That's my dog making cute noises. By the time I found out, it was too late because the tree had already rotted out its roots. Somebody else's, my brother's, I think, they had left in my mom's backyard. And she's like, yeah, you can have it. I don't know whose they are. Or maybe she did, and she was just being nice, but tried to nurse it back to health. It was full of termites. They've been eating all the dead roots for a while. It was very, very full of termites. So, of course, then I had to call my parents and tell them, like, hey, you've got, not in your house, but you've got termites very, very close to the house, and I may have removed a major food source for them. So be careful. So, same as if you have like a big old stump that they're living in, you take away the stump, the termites have to go somewhere to get their food and to live. Usually it's food-based, and your house is usually the closest place. So I don't know if you can tell, but as I'm pushing this all in, a lot of my, more organic, lighter, bullet earth is coming to the top, because that finer, heavier akadama, pumice, and volcanic rock is heavier. It's staying down there versus popping back up. So that's kind of nice too. I can just kind of get this all tucked in, and then I can scoop whatever's on the top off. See, everything I'm putting back on the top here, it's much, that looks like a piece of wire. It was. So much finer. And that is good. We want the finer stuff to sink in there, fill in those gaps. We want that more organic matter to come up and be scooped off the top. Things like old leaves that are in here, there's not a whole lot, but there's a couple. Those are all coming to the top, and I can scoop them off. This is probably far from the final planting for this pot for two reasons. One, I'm not sure this is even going to be the final height for this tree. So this pot may be reused for something else. The tree definitely has got a lot of work to go before I feel as if I'm happy with it. I do need to make some major decisions on branches that I haven't done yet. But again, things that'll happen down the road. I'm actually shocked I haven't seen someone use a paintbrush before. I may have, and I just don't recall, but it works really nice. Smooth, it's light, very, very nimble. It's designed to be held. As someone who has not painted many times, but painted before in their life, I can say that we do use the back when we painted. So not just painted houses and stuff. So this is still really wobbly. Oops, a piece of wire. I don't know how I feel about that either. I don't want this falling over. It wasn't tied in the first place to the pot. I can put rocks on here to make sure it's not wobbly. I most likely will, but I think it's just a factor of all the different light. A piece of wire that was not from this planting, just in there. Great. Yeah, I think with all the light stuff in here that's slowly coming to the top, I think that's a part of it. I think I'm just working through it all still. As the lighter stuff comes to the top and comes off the top, that's what's helping me. All these little bits of bark and everything else. And of course, as I continue to do this, it becomes more compacted and planting becomes more dense. I know things are coming off the side too, but really the goal is to compact it. So that's what I'm working on, is just getting it more compact. I'm looking for resistance that tells me I've got enough soil in that space that there's zero, and I mean zero, air gaps. I know I sound like Ryan Neal when I said that. Zero, I mean it. I mean zero air gaps. There's no way you can have any air gaps. You just got to keep working it in. It's nice to watch him because he's very, very vocal, not only about what he's doing, but why he's doing it, and the importance. Like, I'm working in to get rid of all the air gaps, but he doesn't say like, you can have one or two. He's like, no, you can have zero air gaps. There can't be air gaps. That can be death for the tree, and he's very clear about that. Sometimes I think as a beginner, and I'm still a beginner, you watch videos, you listen to things. Yeah, I'm just working on all the air, and you see people staking in all the soil like this, and it doesn't really become clear. But watching his videos, you do get the, what's my allowance for air gaps? Zero. What's my, allowance for leaving roots long after collection? Zero. Do not leave them long. Get them as short as you can. You want to get that into a shallow pot as you can. Like he's very good. I watched a lot of his videos. I'm not just spouting off nonsense. I can cite specific videos where I've heard him say things like that. Maybe not the air gaps thing, but definitely when it comes to the Amadori, I know he's said it. He's like, shorter roots as you can get, as shallow pot as you can. You immediately want to get those roots short because as it recovers, it's going to want to grow down, and you do not want it to grow down in such a manner that it makes it impossible for it to be a bonsai. You don't want it to be a bonsai in 200 years. You want it to be a bonsai this century. So you've got to put in that shallow pot right away. So it's really cool just listening to him. And I didn't mean to, imitate or mimic him there. I definitely wasn't mocking. I nothing but respect. He's got a beautiful mind. The guy's so creative and so artistic and incredibly intelligent. You can tell. I've got to look up words he says sometimes. They're never bonsai related words. They're just words I should probably know as a human being. Yeah, he does such a great job. All right. It's in the pot. It's much more vertical. I'm not sure I love that part. I don't like that it's vertical at all, honestly. But that's good. Now, I'm going to get my sphagnum on here. I got this. I can wrap around again. I think I don't need to fill the whole thing. In fact, not only do I not need to fill the whole thing, I'm going to cut it down further. I don't need to have this just as absurd as it is right now. So I'm going to cut it halfway-ish. And it's just a cone to funnel in the sphagnum. There's other ways to do this, but I really want to keep that sphagnum wrapped in there. I guess I could also just take a net and wrap it around that way, but yeah, that should be a nice pack in there. So, sphagnum time. Blah. I definitely want to get it under here. It's a very important place for it to go. Pack it in there. All the way around here. And this will, not fertilize, but kind of fertilize the tree as well. New roots love sphagnum. We all know it. They have such great properties. You can burn roots with fertilizer, but sphagnum does a really good job of, pseudo-fertilizing. You first put it on there. All right, I'm losing my voice. I'm just really focusing here in it. Oops. Flicked sphagnum on myself. Great job, right, Taco? Great job. All right. All right. So now, I think what I can do is tie this around again. I just need to get this started. Yeah. Ooh. Grab my machine forceps, and I know I can't recommend these for anybody but myself because I'm the only one who's got them right now, but I do recommend these. I really like them. Of course, I didn't clamp it down on both. I just clamped it down on one. It would help to clamp it down on both. There we go. Of course, I immediately bend them. Oh, no, these flexed. We're good. All right. There we go. I just gotta do them the right way, don't I? As I twist against it, no, it's not gonna work. All right. Well, guys, congratulations. You get to watch me be all kinds of clumsy and destructive sphagnum on this. Go too far. I'm gonna do this and make sure it's complete. Really stuffed in there, packed in there. I think what I'm gonna do, it also sounds risky, is just poke a little hole. And I can zip tie this together. Grab a drill bit. Probably shouldn't be using this one because it's a nice one, but I'll use this one instead. Drill, which should be somewhere around here as well. Where did I put my drill? Always off camera, aren't I? Never where I'm supposed to be. Good girl, good boy. Not even the slightest where I put my drill. That's funny. Oh, all right. There we go. This is what I was looking for. I'm still off camera, sorry guys. Also looking for a zip tie. All right, let me do a little. Yeah, I know, but I know. This is just too much work. I'm gonna take it off and do it. Much easier to drill hole. It's not on like that. This will be a good application of this guy to hold it together. One. There we go. Oh, learned my lesson on those scissors. Aim stuff. My other ones are much more sturdy than that, which goes to show you that fishing is not nearly as hardcore as medical sciences. The other ones are actual tools. That one is not by any means. All right, let's see if I can get this up and around. Yep. Now, fasten. I'll probably put all those rocks right back on here, honestly. They're very useful for keeping it all together. So here we go. This rock. Baby guy. Some of these are just so cool. I dropped my phone on the ground. Hello, everybody. I'm the last person to not finish what I was doing, so I'm gonna finish what I'm doing and then pick you up. All right. So you can see why I use the other contraption. So there's the rocks mostly back on. I'll probably sort another one in here. I just want to get nice and tight, get everything stacked in. So there we go. Oh, it looks better from my side for sure. All right, little trial run with these guys. Says they are flimsy. They bounce back. They're flimsy. And yeah, this guy's into what I think is a better shape and size pot for growing it. The other one was probably too big. It was just growing down to the bottom and not filling the pot. So hopefully this way we'll fill the pot. Hopefully this way we'll get all of our nice roots into here. I might stuff some more sphagnum in there, but I think right now I've got enough. Just, poke it all in. Yeah. Really got it where I need it. I need it coming from the bottom of all those roots, not the top. So as long as it's in there, I'm happy. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me. Sorry about the roller coaster ride. Have a great day.